harsh lighting here, but I want to give you a show of how this new single shot 22 works. So I've got a couple 22 powder-actuated tool loads. That's just all these are. The 22 Rimfire Live should work, but I'm at home right now, so I'm only going to test some blanks. I am going to put on, when I do test, I'm going to put my ears and face shield on. But for now, I just want to show you kind of what goes into this thing. So here's the bolt. And it's really ugly and kind of hacked together right now. This plastic's actually breaking because this rod is very slightly too short. It probably needs to be about a quarter longer, maybe half. Anyway, this is just something I kind of threw together. I had pieces laying around to make this, basically. This is a drilled cap. This is for 3/4 inch pipe. I drilled that hole out, and it's a 5/16 rod and a 3/8 hole. Anyway, that gives it a little bit of play to get in and out of there. And then in the 5/16 rod, I drilled a 1/8 inch hole through it, which is a little bit off center. It's not supposed to be. It's just my prototype, but it's a little bit off center, and it's part of why this broke. But anyway, and I put a little pull tab on there so you can cock the gun. So here's the I don't know, the main piece of it here. I have a, what is this? I want to say 5.5 or 6.5 inch 3/8 stainless steel Schedule 80 pipe. This has a nice. The stainless in particular is a little larger inside than the non-stainless. The regular Schedule 80 3/4 from Anvil is a little less than 3/4 of an inch inside. So anyway, here's the gun. I'm just going to point it down so you can see the sear in there. This little single shot sear. All right. You can see that here. Same thing. Okay. So that's all there is to that. So now I'm going to put my bolt in there. This is the easiest way to assemble it, just because this is something I just kind of threw together. This is one of my one-off guns. It'll eventually might become a design. We'll see. So because this spring is actually really strong, it's probably stronger than it needs to be. This wouldn't be as big of a deal if I messed around with what metals I'm using, what size of. I need to play around with it. Anyway, so I'm going to put this in here. Now, because this spring is really strong and my rod is really short, I could, but not easily, press this cap all the way down and snug it down on the threads. Instead, I'm just going to pull the trigger and let it fall down. So right now the bolt is somewhere ahead of the sear there. I can just screw this right in. Alright, that's in there. So you can see it there, and it's ahead of the sear. I'm going to go ahead and cock this. Alright, there we go. It's cocked. You can see it's now behind the sear. There you go, you can see that. Then I have this guy, which is my Rimfire Firing Pin pipe adapter, basically. I'm trying to sort this stuff out. This is my first working prototype. But anyway, it has half of a Bic lighter spring in there to return the firing pin. Okay, and then and this is just a D8 nail, or an 8D duplex 8-penny nail, and I filed the tip down into a wedge, so it'll set off the rimfire well. Okay. So now now one of the interesting things about this is this can float inside. I don't know that it is supposed to or has to or whatever, but ultimately I'd want to bolt this thing down. Also, the tube isn't well bolted down either. In this case, it can actually spin and jam up the sear, which is not desirable. But for a prototype, it's fine. So I'm going to go ahead and insert this in there now. Now, one of the interesting things is it doesn't matter where. This is just offset 0.11 inches, and it doesn't matter where on the cartridge it strikes. It's the same distance away all around, so the orientation's irrelevant, which is kind of nice. So, but what I do need to make sure is that that blade is pointing towards the center. So I'm just going to go ahead and straighten that up. I don't have a good answer for that yet. But just being under spring tension does a pretty good job of keeping it in place. Let me go back a little more. There's like a set point where it wants to stop. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and load that in there. And then, the next piece is my barrel and my trunnion. So this is a 1/8 inch reducing bushing, and I drilled that out to the OD of this, a 22 barrel I got on eBay. And that's a 3/8 inch hole in there. There's a 3/8 inch piece. And this piece here, this plastic, is actually press fit on here. It's very snug. I couldn't get it off by hand if I tried right now. I basically heated it up and whacked it on there with a rubber mallet, so it's not going to go anywhere. I cannot get that off by hand right now. You need tooling and impact. Anyway, so all that happens is this just drops right in here. And we got our little Rimfire adapter in there. I'm just going to go ahead and put that in like that and screw it in. I'm going to go ahead and load up a blank right now. I'm going to put my gear on and load up a blank and show you a test fire. Now this is, because these are blanks, I already fired one by the vise. I'm not too worried about these exploding. This is a Schedule 80 pipe. I'm going to be fine. I'm not too worried about hand holding this. If it was a larger round, that would be a different story. Alright. Okay, so this is now live. There's a live powder-actuated tool load in here. It's one of these guys. This is green. It's a number 3. And yeah, I'm just gonna point it straight down here and fire. And yeah, that's that. It goes bang. Let's unload it. Okay. And the trunnion wants to come off, and there it is. That works pretty well. And yeah, it slips right out. So I, I did have some impacts that chowdered up the inside of the barrel a little bit. I filed that out slightly and it seems fine. Those open up though, and want to get stuck a little bit, but they slid right out. Let's try again. So that's 3 successful. Okay, let's go ahead and cock this again. See how far out this wants to come? I can just push it back and just pushes that out. But nothing on that plastic. It's fine. I did torch it a little bit, so that's what that coloration is. That's from me. Okay, so here's a new one. I'll cock this. You can see it's cocked. Let's do this. All right, here we go. That's that. That does mess up the, I mean, there's impact from powder in my bench, so careful with those powder tool loads. Anyway, that's all for now.